Hello, this is Nani with Les Bailey and Associates, and I am joined today by our special guest, Clark at Alyeska Title, and of course we have Tracy here at Residential Mortgage. And our today topic on episode 13 is everything title. So we have several questions for Clark here, who has over 35 years experience. I think he started doing this when he was like 10 years old or something to that effect. So, you know, he's been doing it for a while. If you're listening and tuned in, please do ask questions. This is one of those things that people all the time in real estate, they're like, why do I have to have title insurance and all this other stuff? So we're going to go over that, come up with as many questions as Tracy and I and Clark have all heard it in the industry, but would definitely love your engagement as well. And Clark can follow up on posts later if you are watching this at a later time. So with that said, I thought we'd start off with the basics, you know, the nitty gritty. What is title insurance? Tell us more about that so people can kind of understand it a little bit more.
We'll take it maybe a step back even. What is the title to my property? You have a title to your car, which is a piece of paper that says you own this car with the information that pertains to that specific vehicle. Unlike that, which is a piece of paper that you have to transfer title, your title to the property is simply a deed. And it can be a quit claim deed or a warranty deed, and it says that you bought the property from whomever you did, and it gives a legal description of the property, which is different than the address. And that then gets filed with the state of Alaska Department of Natural Resources at the Recorder's Office. And once it's filed, officially you now own the property. So that piece of paper you have that's signed, notarized, looking real official, if you lost it, unlike a car title, it really doesn't matter once it's made a public record.
So what's the difference then between a quit claim and a warranty?
As it indicates by title of the document, a warranty deed is basically saying that there are certain warranties to the condition of title that the seller is making when he deeds to you, or he or she deeds. A quit claim deed is simply, I am now quitting any claim I have to this property, as is no guarantees, warranties.
So funny, when I first got into the industry, I thought it was quick claim deed, but it's quit, as in quitting my claim to the property. So
Exactly.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And that's often, people will ask for a quit claim deed because it's in a hurry.
Yeah.
But that's not the case.
It's kind of like a short sale. It's not really not short at all.
No, not at all.
Some of those terms in real estate that make no sense whatsoever.
Exactly. But they're common questions, and we pride ourselves here, you know, at Alyeska Title in answering questions, no matter how simple or silly you might think they are. As a realtor, as a buyer, seller, as a lender, we're happy to let you know what we know.
Right. I want to just touch a little bit more on that, the warranty deeds and different things. You could kind of share some stories so that it really kind of hits home of pros and cons between the two that would help people understand a little bit more why you would want one versus the other.
It really comes down to the fact that both of them legally transfer title. So the only thing that it carries is the weight of the seller's promise that it is marketable title, it's in good condition, and so the buyer can come back and say, hey, you warranted this. But no matter which document you use, if you're closing with a title insurance company and you have title insurance, then we're making certain warranties through our examination and insurance that pretty much covers the seller, which is why no seller should ever want to sell a piece of property without a title insurance policy being provided, because then they're off the hook completely.
Well, I get that a lot. You know, I have sellers say, you know, why do I need to get seller's insurance? I bought the property. I've not done anything to it. I've, you know, paid my payments on time. I have no liens or anything to that effect. Why do I need to get seller's insurance? It's a pretty common question.
I imagine it is. And what probably the easiest answer to that question is because your buyer should require it. Because if I'm purchasing a home, it is the most expensive thing I'm going to get as a couple, as a single person, as a member of society entering into the world of finance of our own. And nobody even thinks twice about getting health insurance for things you're gonna have happen to you.
Right.
Car insurance,
You
fire
have to get it for
insurance.
car insurance. I mean,
Nobody
if you
ever
have-
questions getting car insurance, right?
Well,
They don't want it, they want the minimum they can get.
there's plenty of people that get in accidents every day that don't have it, and then the
Yeah.
person with the, yeah, and so that is kind of
Well,
interesting.
financially responsible.
Right, yeah, right.
And it's the most expensive investment that you're making. Why wouldn't you want to have a one-time premium that you pay or someone else pays on your behalf as the seller?
So that brings me to the second part of that question. Okay, so my seller's paying for seller's title insurance, why do I need it as a buyer?
As a buyer, once you own that property, you own everything that has ever happened. You're purchasing a home, and even if it's new construction, it's on dirt that is as old as time itself. And ever since records were being kept, transfers being made from the United States government in a patent to basic fee simple title, which is meaning just somebody actually owning it on their own, there are things that can come up from every transaction that if you don't have title insurance, nobody's going to insure you against them. I mean, a broad range of things. And as a buyer, I would insist on having that, no matter how much my seller says, well, I had title insurance 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
He did, but as soon as that deed is recorded, that insurance policy expires.
Right, well, you don't know what they've done from that time forward. And
No, and you don't know what happened before that transaction that might pop up in the future.
So for example, like a previous owner could have had a tax lien put on their property and that was just never caught. And then I go to buy a house tomorrow and I pull title insurance and it shows that tax lien. Or, and then I have title insurance, or let's say it happens after I buy the property. I am not responsible for that lien. The title insurance will cover that if they didn't find it in pulling the title report when I first bought it, right?
Correct. Unlike casualty insurance or other types of insurance, our premium is paid once for as long as you own the property, or once on the loan as long as that loan exists. And our job is to insure a piece of property based on a thorough research of the documents, the history of that property, looking for forgeries, bad notaries, faults, claims, breaks in what's called the chain of title.
Mhm.
John sells to Jim, sells to Tim, suddenly somebody else comes in with a deed. Where's the link in that that's missing? So we examine that, and our job is to eliminate as much risk as possible so that you can feel sound in your investment as a buyer, comfortable in your selling of your property, to walk away and not hear from your buyer again.
But then if
Property.
something were to pop up that was missed, because you have the insurance, that's what the insurance covers. You don't
Exactly.
have to worry about it. The title insurance company
The
then
seller
has to
doesn't
take
have-
care of it.
Exactly. The seller doesn't have to worry, the buyer doesn't have to worry, and the lender doesn't have to worry. If we miss something in our investigation to eliminate our risk, then we pay up. And it happens every year.
Does it?
It's human error is a
Human
reality.
error is real. Can you maybe, there again, like a scenario or situation where maybe there has been, an issue that you guys were able to find something? I know, like, for instance, I mean, early on in the process when we pull the title, we pull both the buyer and the seller's information, and we will kind of see what's going on in their lives, and people are like, oh, I didn't realize I had, this out there, some pending item. As a buyer, even sometimes it doesn't come up in the loan process or different things, and it affects the sale overall. So what scenarios or things that kind of give us some nitty gritty, the good, the bad, the ugly? I want to hear like.
Well, before I get into the nitty gritty of the
Oh.
good and the bad, I encourage everybody to get a real estate professional to take them through the pathway of this purchase and selling process. Because when we have people come in here that haven't utilized a realtor, and they've maybe just sold it to somebody on, taking payments back, and they've done a quick claim deed or any type of deed to these individuals, there's no guarantee that these people really had a claim to the property in the first place. And second, the seller may not be even trying to commit fraud.
Right.
When they sell this way, say there's no problem with this title. I owe this amount of money to X bank, and we'll pay it off with the money you give me and get a release. That's great. But the seller may not realize that even though the property description is not mentioned on an IRS tax lien, or a child support lien, or a judgment, somebody sued him for throwing a rock through the neighbor's window when the dog was barking. That attaches to the property. Anything that attaches to the name of the person who owns a property attaches to the property, becomes the buyer's responsibility if they don't go through a title company and get insurance and find these things out ahead of time.
I appreciate you saying that, because there are so many times that when we go through and we find stuff out, I mean, it's, if there's not professionals sometimes involved, both on the lending side, the real estate side, and the title side, there are little things that get missed. And I've seen more than once where I've helped a seller who says, oh, I bought this, you know, for sale by owner, or, you know, I acquired this, you know, as
Won it in a card game.
or whatever, exactly. I mean, through some unconventional, let's just say unconventional, you know, form, and ends up being a bigger deal than they thought, because they didn't do what they needed up front.
There's a reason that we each have a full-time job in our industry, title, real estate, lending, and it's because there is so much involved when you're buying the biggest purchase in your life. There's a lot of legalities, and in order to protect yourself and the seller protecting themselves, I definitely always recommend getting professional help in each area.
Yeah, you know, we kind of talked a little bit beforehand. I think it's interesting how the, you know, the insurance costs and different things like that. So I wanted to kind of touch bases on that. How much does it actually cost a consumer, and how is that determined?
Well, the good thing is, in shopping for a title company, ask around, get an opinion, go with who has a reputation for the best service. Because really, we all have the same product. We all sell title insurance and closing services. Our rates are filed with the Division of Insurance with the state of Alaska and are virtually the same. So, for instance, on a $300,000 purchase, your title insurance is going to be right around $1,100. A closing fee about $600, and you pay that at closing, split it, do whatever is required by the lender, and certain loan programs dictate who pays what. But it's well worth the price, because as long as you own that property, you don't pay another dime on that title insurance policy, and you're insured, and you can rest easy that things have been taken care of properly.
Yeah.
It covers things like a divorce happened and the quitclaim deed was never recorded. It's a fact, and these numbers are from the American Land Title Association, that 1 out of 3 escrow transactions, closings, purchase and sales, requires corrective action by the title company, meaning fixing something in the past that you wouldn't have known if you didn't get title insurance. And so then you build
That's
a
nationwide?
That's nationwide.
Yeah, interesting.
And that has
1 out of 3, that's a lot.
That's a lot.
That is-
That's everything
It's a
from
lot to gamble with.
everything from a document, a lien that was never released, to a divorce that never had a quitclaim deed done. You know, the judge says, Mrs., you have the property. Mister, you need to deed it to him. But the courts don't talk to the recorder's office, and it doesn't get done.
Those
So-
aren't good odds to bet on,
No.
not getting insurance, right?
It's well worth it, and we, you know, love to see people coming in here and walk away. I like to think that we make the world a happier place, one home closing at a time.
Yeah. You know, and it's interesting, I mean, you have your rate sheet there as far as that goes, and I mean, even in the negotiations, we've had people go, oh, well, you know, I don't want to pay any closing costs, and so, okay, fine, you don't have to pay any, you know, buyer's closing. I mean, closing costs is a pretty broad term. It's like saying, you know, car almost out there. There's several different types of car. Are you talking about buyer's closing costs, seller's closing costs, title closing fees, you know, lender closing fees, and, you know, so there again, like knowing what each of those are, you know, the difference between, because you have escrow typically, and then you have the title fees. So if you could explain a little bit between the difference of those, I think that would be helpful.
Okay, the title fee is the premium that you pay for your title insurance. And it's traditional that the owner of the property selling it covers that. It's responsibility of the current owner to present a policy that says, I do have marketable title, so that he or she can step away and not have any warranty that they really have to push forward. The title company takes care of that now. And the escrow closing fee is basically the service to put the documents together according to the statutes of the state where the property is and the closing is happening, and do the notary services, record the documents with the state of Alaska, make sure all the details are covered. And it's funny that when you go in to purchase a car from a dealership, you have document fees, you have filing fees, you have DMV this and that, and it's just part of your purchase, and you go, oh, okay. And nobody really has the right or the opportunity to say, well, I don't want to pay any closing fees for my car. It's just part of your purchase.
It's part of the process.
And this should
yeah.
be accepted as a legitimate, necessary part of the purchase of the biggest investment you're going to have in your life.
Yeah. So I guess the biggest takeaway that you'd want people to take, when they're considering their options and they're looking at title and what those title fees include, and what does it really buy me? What is the biggest takeaway you would like people to consider or know about out there as far as that goes?
Just to understand that we are a disinterested third party by definition of our industry. We're here not to represent anybody. We're here to make sure the transaction happens according to the statutes of the state of Alaska and fairly according to ordinances and such. The negotiation process we have nothing to do with, so we're a safe entity to come into, gather signatures, make sure it's done correctly, so that when you go to sell your property in the future, you're ready to do it and not have a headache from the past.
Yeah, and I appreciate that because we call you all the time just for random questions, and that's one thing that we love about working with you guys specifically is because you always return the phone calls, you always answer the line, and we can better serve our clients when we're moving through the
Definitely.
process because there's so much out there.
And with 35 years of experience, you have all the answers.
It's amazing how many questions pop up.
Yeah. Well, thanks everybody for joining us today. Thanks so much to Clark at Alyeska Title for being our guest speaker. If you guys have any title issues that you experienced on your own, you want to comment, please do. If you have any questions, please comment, like our page, share it with your friends, and join us every Wednesday at noon.
Let us know what else you'd like to see. Thanks.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.